I think the aim of the football club, from the minute I met the chairman, was to sustain our position in this league, and from the start, that was certainly, especially in the dressing room, it was, make sure that next season, as the club's building and progressing, that we're in this league. Yeah, look, I'm quite I wouldn't say obsessed with statistics, facts and figures, because I'm still old school and new school. I think I combine the two worlds well, but the better teams in our leagues are the teams that have got promotion, and the teams that challenge for playoffs are the teams that have less instability. So there's less movement of players. I think that the teams that struggled, if you look at especially the local teams, there's been a lot of maybe using a lot of players and probably not quite getting it right, and that's certainly us. And I think moving forward, I look at the squad that we achieved our goal, and moving forward, we're going to keep the vast bulk of players that we've got, and look to add maybe 4 or 5 better quality players in key areas that can push us on. I think for a football club, it's the easiest answer of any of the questions that you can ask me today. I think going away to Banbury, which was the start of a real tough run for us. Well, we just beat Stratford 3-0 the week before, so we just started. It was the start of our good run of form. And to go away to the champions-elect and put in such a fantastic performance, disciplined performance, and to win 2-1 there, to hit crossbar as well, and to limit them in terms of chances till really, really late. I think they pulled one back on about 88 minutes, and so that was brilliant, because it weren't just the performance going there, it weren't just the victory, it was the way we got the victory. And how everybody stuck to the task, and everybody understood their roles, and how everybody executed the roles brilliantly. And I thought that was the they only lost 2 games all season, once at home, and we were the only team to beat them. And funny enough, the year before we beat them at their place as well, so probably weren't big fans of playing. So that was the season high for us. Always been honest about that. I think one of the lowest points in my managerial career was getting beat 4-0 away at Stourbridge on New Year's Day. Supporters, I don't completely understand it. We spoke off air to say that when supporters pay their 10, 11, 12 quids to come in, they're absolutely no problem from me when they vent their frustration, and there was a few that vented the frustration after that, because it was a complete capitulation. It was an horrendous performance. It lacked money. People say that your team should reflect manager's character, and that performance had no resemblance to me as a manager at all. And I sat down after the game, a couple of days after we'd lost to Banbury at home, 2 days later, and we did say that we needed some changes to be made if I was going to remain in charge. And I still believed, the chairman asked me if I believed, I was the man. He never doubted me, to be fair, and he backed me. And we looked at strengthening the team, because we just simply weren't good enough. We were on a real bad run, and that was the final straw for me. We knew we had to make changes, and we did, and hence why we went on a good run after that. So that was certainly the lowest point of the season for me personally, and for us as a club. We said, going back to the lowest point of the season, without a doubt is obviously Tom. Lowest point of my career is the death of Tom. But the impact and the pain that was felt by everybody is just, I can't compare it to anything else. It was really, really tough to understand. It was tough to deal with. Not just the player, you touch on the staff as well, because, as a manager, me and the chairman was absolutely brilliant, and it was hard for David, hard for the staff, so hard for the players. We've got such a young group of players, and for the vast majority of them, it was the first time they'd experienced grief. And to pick them up, there's no coaching manual. I've just been on one of my coaching badges, and that certainly wasn't, included. I didn't really know what to do. It certainly tested us as a football club, but the boys have been absolutely unbelievable to deal with what they've had to deal with, to be so young and to take it on board. And look, we lost a lot of games of football after that. We said to the players, they don't even have to play. We wanted me personally as a manager, 5 days later we're playing a big local derby against Bromsgrove, and for the first time, everybody knows what I'm like. I kick a Ned every single ball, and and Gavin Urran commented on it after the game. I never spoke. I didn't really want to be there. My players had to play in front of 1,300 people 5 days after losing. Tom, who'd been captain for the football club for a long time. And I don't know how they did it. We lost 1-0, weren't bothered about the result. Bromsgrove needed to win it because they were in a real relegation fight. We were pretty much safe. The result, that's when, at the start of the season, Bromsgrove, home and away, is the fixture that our supporters, rightfully so, look forward to. And people have been speaking about that game. Tom himself on the Saturday after Rushden was talking about that game, and how one of his closest friends, Josh Quainer, plays, and he can't wait to get one over on him. And then we hear the news on the Sunday morning, and we're faced with playing that game. And like I said, I don't know how those boys, we gave them the option, they didn't have to play. After the game, Tom's mum and dad came in to the dressing room and hugged everybody, and I'll say there's been a lot of tears throughout the club, and it's such a loss. Tom was the best boy that I've ever worked with. I can say that, and I say that to everybody because he was a special person, and it's going to take a long time. And this group of players have got that with them now for the rest of their careers, that we shared a real tough moment together, and a tough few weeks, and that will never be forgotten. Look, I think when you hand out, or as a manager, or as a management team, you give somebody their Player of the Year title or award. You reflect over the season, the highs and the lows, and I think Ryan is one of those that, since the minute that he walked through the door, he's conducted himself on and off the pitch. First and foremost, we look at the conduct and people's behaviour, and he's conducted himself exemplary. He's an absolute pleasure to have on board. He's a fantastic, not only is he a good player, a very good player, but he's just a great kid. His performance, he's a bit of an unsung hero, because he's one of those, your supporters will always look at your strikers or maybe your wingers who take somebody on, and I always think as a defender they can often be forgotten, and he's somebody that I think our defensive record was the 6th best in the league. We had quite a few clean sheets as well, considering we were struggling for a long time, and a lot of that was down to Ryan. I think he missed one game all season. It was a stag do, I think he was on, but he missed one game all season. He played with injury at times, and it was, for me, he was a standout player. And was there anybody close? There was a couple, and I'll mention them. I think Lewis Hudson, he started poorly, he got injured, and then he's had a suspension, but he came back unbelievably strong. And Lewis is somebody that I expect to go on and have a fantastic season. It was his first season at Step 3, and I expect him to have a better season. And the keeper, Kieran Boucher, I think, in my opinion, he's the best keeper at Step 3, locally especially. And I think then we're glad that he signed a new contract for another 12 months. And I believe 12 months more of developing if he keeps going the way that he's been, and he's been absolutely outstanding. I think if he does that, then I would think that he's going to jump up a level or two come the end of the season. That's how highly I rate him. So he was outstanding. There was a couple of others that I don't need to mention that pushed quite well. But those were the three standout players for me. Yeah, we've had three Nottingham-based teams, haven't we, in Mickleover, Ilkeston and Baseford. Strong, Ilkeston especially. I know Gandhi, the manager, Martin Carruthers, and they've had an excellent season last year. Pipped Alzo in and chased down. Heavily backed from a financial point of view, a big budget. Signed some really good players. I think that they're gonna make the league stronger. Mickleover's similar. Baseford have been apart from last season where they just stayed up. I think they finished third from bottom. They've been in the playoffs probably about the last 3 years at step 3. So, you've got 3 strong sides there. They're going to come in and complement. Get from a distance point of view, it's good to have more teams. They're probably an hour or so away, so that helps. We thought that we may lose the East Anglian teams in Leiston and Needham. And both lovely, fantastic people at those clubs and really good football clubs. But from a distance point of view, it's such a disadvantage for them as well when they travel away. Hence, their away records are not great, but they're strong at home. So now I think you look Northley, another one. They're going to be a little bit of a don't really know that much about them. But I think there'll be some, it's just strengthen the league. And again, you look at where people finish, and there'll be teams that struggled last season. It seems like your Tamworth, again, invest heavily in their squads, and they're all going to have stronger seasons. And you look around, and it's going to be a really exciting, but a really tough, competitive league again. And we're excited. We'll be excited to get going and get back to the crazy roller coaster season that we had last season. We're realistic, and I think that's really important as a football club, that you are realistic. And I look at, again, some of the teams that I've mentioned. Our neighbours, Alvechurch, are going full time, which is brilliant for them, and they're really good people at Alvechurch. So they're, from being a playoff team, they're going to want to strengthen. Your Rushells are going to, another fantastic manager. They're going to strengthen. Stourbridge are going to strengthen. And then I look at us, and I think you go back with 7 games to go. We were 9th in the table after we'd beaten Nuneaton, from being bottom but 1, January the 1st. We then, our mantle was, we're probably going to be safe. Can we really go and push into those top 10? And obviously events that led, didn't allow that to happen. This season, yes, first and foremost, make sure we're safe, because you've got to. Can't get ahead of yourself, and we certainly won't. But can we go and improve on our position? We finished 15th, so you want to improve, improve on that. And it's got to be the way the club are going to do it with the chairman is there's got to be a solid base. There's got to be progress, but realistic progress. We're not going to be a club that all of a sudden are going to, challenge to win the league, because we're not in that, probably not in that financial position. But we certainly want to progress and get better. And can we get into those, that top 10? And then from there, you've seen it. Anything can happen. And have a look at it again at Christmas, and then can we push on? But first and foremost, let's consolidate, make sure we're safe. That's not saying that we've got a lack of ambition, because we haven't. We really have, but we want to achieve our goals on a realistic platform, and make sure we do it the right way, which we will do. We're certainly not going to be going like some of the clubs and hearing some of the figures at the minute when you speak to players, and it's a little bit scary, to be honest. You'd think they're 2 divisions above, but that's how it is, and it's silly season. But no, certainly progression from where we finished last season. Again, we've had opportunity. There's been 3 or 4 weeks now since the season ended, so we've reflected. I think we finished 6th or 7th best defensive record, hence why that, from a defensive point of view, we were stable. We want to build on that. Maybe add add another defender to the squad, but we finished second from bottom in terms of our goal scoring, so that wasn't good enough. No matter how you look at it, whether it's front players, wide players, midfield players, people haven't contributed, and we've got to improve that. So I think for us to progress and get better, then we need to have 4 or 5 better players come into the building that will improve the squad. The squad was light for a large part of the season. We went into a lot of our games with a lot of youth and academy players on the bench, and it puts them in a position where, do you put them on? Are they good enough? I've got no problem. We gave a lot of debuts last season to academy boys, and at pretty much every game we had academy boys in the squad, especially towards the end of the season, which is great from a club's point of view. But we're not just going to put academy boys on the bench or in the squad because they're academy boys. They've got to be, on the bench now, only if they're good enough to come on and make an impact. So we'll continue to do that. There is a progression, there is a pathway from the academy system into the first team, but those boys have got to be good enough. But the players that we recruit have got to be better, and I think we need to be better. We've just said how defensively we were good, and we want to be better next season. And then moving forward, we've got to be better in that final third, because we didn't score enough goals, probably didn't create enough chances if I'm being honest. But even when we did create chances, we weren't lethal in front of goal, and that's got to be better. I think it's small margins that when we looked at the form, January when we were bottom but one, so many of our games we'd only been beat through the season. I think we had 2 heavy defeats. We had a 4-0 Stourbridge and 4-1 against Colville. They're the only teams that really battered us. Our games were so close, and there were 1-goal swings in something like 80%, 85% of our defeats was 1 goal. So we've got to improve that, and we'll do that by getting better in and around the box, and you can only do that by getting better players. The fans were absolutely like a 12th man at times, brilliant, and a lot of times they didn't have too many great things to shout about, but they were, like I say, they were fantastic. To see how we've doubled our attendances from 250 to almost 500 in the space of 2 years shows you that Redditch is an area, it's a town, it's a footballing town. A lot of people in Redditch go and support Villa or Blues, and some of my team, the Baggies, for their sins. And I think that to get them back into this club, into this stadium, they've got to buy into what we're trying to do. If you have an open door policy where you have players in and out, it's hard for them to buy into that, and I totally get it, and I absolutely agree. So it's, again, being more stable with personnel, so that's got to be down to better recruitment, and then moving forward, getting a better product on the field. If we do that, then the supporters will come, because they've shown it. Our crowds are really good, and I think if we're at the higher up in the table, then those crowds will only increase. Crowds increase, it then gives us more money to spend and to go out and maybe be a little bit more competitive with teams around us, where we've not been competitive in the transfer market, but we really want to be that. So I think for us moving forward, getting better players in, and the message to the fans will be, thank you so much for your support. You've been brilliant, even through the tough times, apart from 1 or 2, but I can take a bit of that. And just keep supporting us, and we will do everything that we can to be better on that pitch, but also be realistic in your aspirations as supporters. And I know it can be frustrating when you're seeing teams at the top of the league and winning this and winning that, but we're not quite there yet, but we're working really hard, and we aspire as a football club. And I certainly think over the next 2 or 3 years, what you've seen is a progression from it's being the San Marino of non-league football, which we were 2 or 3 years ago, and getting hammered 7-0s and 8-2s and whatnot. So we've progressed from that, and it's about us changing the mindsets of everybody. That's supporters, that's the football world, that's players, changing their mindsets of who we are as a football club. And I think as long as we can do that, we keep you guys happy, you come through the door, then we'll all be happy, and we'll get to where we need to be, in time.